For every critically acclaimed hit, there's at least one video game that bombs so badly that it damages the industry as a whole. Video game failures can take many forms, but exceptional failure transcends simply sucking, ruining developers' reputations, and in extreme cases, ending their careers. Here are a few video game projects that failed so epically that the whole industry wants to Men in Black them out of your memory.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you will, look right here.
Daikatana. Billed as the FPS that would revolutionize the genre, Daikatana was hailed as an action-packed shoot-'em-up, set against a mystical, timey-wimey backdrop, at least in its early stages. In the end, it turned out to be a colossal failure that the one-time industry giant John Romero would probably like you to overlook.
Throw it in the trash. Doesn't exist.
As one of the driving forces behind FPS classics like Quake, Wolfenstein 3D, and Doom, Romero's involvement meant high hopes for Daikatana. Well, in this case, the old saying is true. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. Romero finished concept work on the game in 1997, but an insane amount of in-house conflict delayed the game until 2000. By then, technical advancements made Daikatana look and play like a last-gen mess, complete with an AI as intuitive as a drunk hamster, and levels seemingly designed to inspire rage quitting. Developer Iron Storm didn't help matters with its marketing materials either. Romero eventually apologized for the ad, but the damage was already done, and Romero's career was as good as dead. SimCity 2013. EA's 2013 reboot of the long-running SimCity franchise was so severely botched that EA itself admitted that the launch was dumb. The devs even offered a free game to anyone who purchased SimCity by way of apology, which is like a restaurant giving you a free meal to apologize for poisoning you. As if poorly connected servers and unrealistically small city sizes weren't bad enough, players couldn't even access the game without an active internet connection. A week after launch, Amazon stopped selling the game and EA canceled marketing plans, resulting in a huge loss of revenue. It took EA almost a year to add an offline mode, but it was already too late to make a difference. EA had become its own worst nightmare. Fez 2. Founder of Polytron Corporation, Phil "Fish" Poisson became a minor video game celebrity after the release of the successful indie gem Fez. Fish had originally planned a sequel to the popular puzzle platformer, but the project disintegrated following a now notorious Twitter meltdown. It all started when Game Trailer's Marcus Beer, aka Annoyed Gamer, called Fish out for neglecting to interact with the gaming press in an episode of their Invisible Walls panel show. An enraged Fish took to Twitter, where he launched into a hateful, profanity-filled tirade. He followed this up with an attack on all gamers, including his fans, stating that they don't deserve the canceled game. Soon after, he posted an announcement to Polytron's official website, claiming that he was just going to take the money invested in Fez 2 and run. Fish was true to his promise and hasn't been active in game development since 2013. Good riddance. Final Fantasy XIV. In development from 2005 until 2010, Square Enix's ambitious MMO Final Fantasy XIV was slated for release on multiple consoles. Unfortunately for fans of the JRPG series, development problems and disagreements led to the title becoming a PC-only release, alienating many gamers who'd grown up playing the series on consoles. Turns out they weren't missing out on much after all. Players who could actually play the game criticized everything from the abysmal user interface and weird graphical quirks to the sluggish gameplay and a lack of quests. Before long, the game's developer and producer were removed from their positions while a new team was put in place to save the game. A complete reboot titled Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn was released to critical acclaim in 2013. Satisfying original players, pulling in new subscribers, and proving that the tarnished franchise was definitely listening to its disgruntled base. Duke Nukem Forever. To gamers of a certain age, Duke Nukem is an icon. Video games were still fairly young in the 90s, and 1996's Duke Nukem 3D was largely unregulated and full of violence, more than a few pixelated bikinis, and lots of guns. Duke Nukem Forever was the long-delayed follow-up to 3D, and when it finally dropped in 2011, 15 years after its predecessor, gamers wished it had remained the stuff of fond memories. As Forever languished in development hell, the rest of the gaming world was building bigger, better, more powerful engines that rendered Forever obsolete. And while Duke's teenage fan base had moved on to other things, like real women, Duke himself remained the same horribly dated, cringy, uber-sexist figure who was more likely to wave a few dollar bills at a woman than try to strike up a conversation. The same character that was edgy and cool in the 90s became that creepy guy everyone hoped wasn't going to show up at the party. And if Duke Nukem Forever proved anything, it's that he definitely should have stayed home. E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial.
Video game?
Atari was a revolutionary console. E.T. was an amazing movie, and Steven Spielberg himself was involved in the video game adaptation of the beloved family film. Sounds promising, right? Wrong. The game's complete commercial and critical failure is so legendary that it inspired a decades-old urban legend, one that turned out to be 100% true. In 2014, Ars Technica confirmed that truckloads of ET cartridges had been dumped and buried in the New Mexico desert in a mass grave, dug in 1984. E.T. may have famously survived the film that shared his name, but his interactive adventure single-handedly spelled the demise of the Atari 2600. In 2014, Engadget talked to creator Howard Scott Warshaw. It turns out the project was doomed to fail from the get-go. According to Warshaw, he and a team of 2 had 2 days to create a concept and 5 weeks to actually develop the game. To put that into perspective, Warshaw's previous project, a video game adaptation of Raiders of the Lost Ark, had a deadline of 9 months. Atari's slow crumble started not long after the game hit shelves. And just like E.T.'s final line at the close of Spielberg's masterpiece, the end of Atari's video game reign had us ugly crying.
Right here.
Thanks for watching. Click the grunge icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plus, check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.